I had a lot of fun watching you do that. It was, I just think it's a very funny play and so right on for now. And I would love Stephen to be here, but he had to take his dog to the vet, so he's not quite here. I'll add a bit at the end of this with him. But in the meantime, did you enjoy it? You all seem to really enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It is a fun little ensemble piece, yes.
The timing of it is actually literally right now, like literally this week, perfect. Now that businesses are starting to reopen again. So.
Oh, yeah, right?
Like,
They really are.
I mean, some states are completely reopening. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, it depends whether yes, it depends whether you want to get out of the house from your wife or
Sure.
stay with your Cinnabons. But
And so then what I decided to do is break my toe, so I can't even leave the bed, let alone the house.
oh yes, you broke your toe this week. So how is that your response to the
Quarantine.
lockdown? They say, I'm not leaving lockdown.
Break my toes.
Right, yeah.
Stay where I am, right?
Quarantine was somewhat bearable until that. Now I've got 6 to 8 weeks, and I can only imagine that I'm going to be hard to live with during that time.
What happened and how did it happen?
The short version is I tripped and fell. That's the short version.
Which toe?
My second and third on the right foot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I broke my pinky toe once.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh. Just the thought of that.
So what's happening? Have you got something on it? I mean, have you got a cast or something?
They don't put a cast on toes, so they've taped the two together so that they're immobile. They gave me a boot, or I bought a boot. They made me buy it, but they have discouraged me from using it at all. And then of course they sent me home with crutches. So it's
Wow.
it's a elevate and ice therapy. Elevate and ice.
All right.
How long?
6 to 8 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you did say that.
No worries, no worries. Yeah.
So, well, I hope you enjoy it, whatever you manage to find. Well, enjoy the slowdown. You can really slow down now, right?
You would think so, but no, man. You know what my day was like. Like, this is my second time with you today alone. Like, there's no slowing down.
Oh well. Linda, when we were rehearsing, there was discussion about hashtags and all those sort of things, which you seem to be completely on point with those. You know everything about what is the latest thing, and so we changed them for you. How's that? Are you a hashtag freak or something like that?
I'm a hashtag freak.
Hashtag freak, that's a good one.
Yeah, hashtag freak is a pretty good description for some people. I guess I'm on my phone too much. I'm on the internet a lot. I think that's really the honest answer there, is that I am addicted to the internet. And that's why I know what's going on.
Good. And so Carl, the Cinnabons, that rings a bell somehow.
Rings a bell in terms of what?
In terms of you.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel so connected, man. It's just like I feel like this character's me, and it's so weird. Like, why would Cinnamons be in the script all of a sudden? It's just a major coincidence.
Crazy.
Well, I did see the trailer for that film the other day, with you playing the Cinnamon guy.
Payoff! She's got to be cheating. She's got a cheat sheet or something.
How could she cheat, dog? You're the one picking the questions.
Maybe she's got the answers written on her paper.
Hey, look. Double or nothing, then.
Okay. Go deep. What was Dr. Leonard McCoy's daughter's name? What was that? What'd you say?
Joanna.
No way.
That's impossible!
She got you. Pay up, bitches. Suck it.
Have your dirty thoughts.
It's like, oh snap, this is great.
Well, but also all over your website and stuff, it has all the stories of Cinnabon and
Oh yeah.
how it infused your life and how you infused your life with Cinnabon, and fantastic, wonderful.
I mean, it definitely played a huge part, especially in the early parts of my career. Now it's just kind of like it's there. I don't need to like ham it over people's heads. They're like, I really like Cinnabon. but it was definitely a big marketing factor that helped in the early parts of my career. So, and if anything, it taught actors like, you know, how to find their own sort of branding. I mean, other people joke, they're like, oh, maybe I could be like the Baskin Robbins monster or the pretzel monster. I'm like, I mean, you really have to love it to make it seem genuine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just seems stupid.
So how
You know,
much?
I gotta say, Henry, we also need to congratulate Edward on a very big accomplishment that he just had over the weekend.
Oh yes, that's right. Oh, yeah.
What's the accomplishment?
The accomplishment is on the past weekend. I did a commencement speech for my alma mater at College William Mary. For the graduating
Nice.
Asian
Isn't
American
that an
Studies.
honor?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Big deal.
it happened, and it was great to see so many people, some I haven't seen in years, and a lot of new people. There were parents of the graduate students, and then the faculty for a department that when we did this 10 years ago, I had to make up this Asian American Studies major, and now it's actually like an official like a department. There's people, there's faculty and all of that. So it's just hilarious to see like where it started from, where it was just me and this professor be like, let's just make up a major because this college doesn't have it here.
Yeah.
And then it became what it is now. So
And that was your undergrad, Edward? Is that right?
that was me when I graduated 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, so were you chosen as commencement speaker before COVID or after?
It was before COVID, because like
Okay.
technically, if it wasn't for COVID, I would have been in Williamsburg, Virginia from May 15th to the 17th and delivered it in person. But obviously because of COVID, it became Zoom, which worked out better because like, you know, my friends in LA were able to tune in and my mom in Korea. So she was tuning in at their time. It was like 2 a.m. So she was watching while she's like, I need to go to work, but I'll stay up, I guess, to watch this. So she was there. My LA friends that I've known for years were there. And so everyone was connected. So it was like 85 people in the Zoom conversation. So it was a good amount for something that would have been actually much smaller if it was in person.
It's really cool.
Did your cat make an appearance?
The last online meeting? Oh, cool. Are we celebrating now? How about like a virtual margarita happy hour?
No, so this is where Stephen Olson did a really good dig, because I know, and Henry, you know this, that every time I do something Stephen wrote and Henry directs, I'm always on the floor. And so Stephen wrote a comment. He was like, it's so nice to see you standing up. because I actually set it up where I'm standing. It's, you know, I'm wearing like, you know, a blazer, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so Steve was like, oh, look at that. He doesn't have to sit.
He does have legs. He does have legs.
I do have legs.
He does
So
have legs.
I'm like, yes, Stephen, yes. I mean, although the way I had to do setting up the laptop, I had to put it on top of boxes. So it was kind of I was always concerned that the whole thing would just topple over like Jenga. And I'm like, oh, thank God, none of that happened. So, you know, to give me the elevated look and all of that stuff. So it was, and then I also set up lights and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, there's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's amazing how like resourceful we end up having to be. And of course, if anybody's going to be resourceful, it's actors and artists, right? So like for me,
creative. Let's call it creative.
My camera doesn't do very well on my laptop. I have to use my phone for Zoom for you guys to be able to see me clearly. And then to be able to have the script, I have to use a different device because you can't open the script on your phone with Zoom and read it as well. Yeah. And so I've had to like build a little like a holder or stand for my script so that it's close to eye level with where the camera that's capturing my image is. Like, and you find whatever you need. I hear people talking about how bored they are during quarantine. Not one person that I've heard say that is an artist. Like we don't do that. We don't do bored, you know? I mean, look at how we've created this whole new medium for performing. And Henry, you've really run with it, with the things that you've been directing.
Yeah, just exploring, having fun. That's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I just want to say also to Danny that so the great thing about Stephen's plays is that he'll write them specifically for people, and the part was written, and then when you got cast, Danny, you said to Stephen that you're doing jigsaw puzzles all the time, so he wrote it in as
He did.
as a character, and which I guess you are probably the only person on this screen at the moment who actually got a jigsaw piece between us. Whatever. That, there you go.
Yeah. So he called me to talk about this, and he even used a line. He wrote a line that I said to him. He said, "Oh, so you're finished with it?" And I looked around. I said, "Nah." I think I even had said at one point, "Oh man, I've been looking for this piece." And then he said, "What are you doing?" I said, because we were on the phone. I said, "I'm doing a jigsaw puzzle." And he's like, "I've been doing them during, like, because when I'm not at work, I'm on lockdown like everybody else." And then I said to him, he said, "Oh, you're finished? Was that the last piece?" And I said, "Nah, I got about 20 odd left." Like, and so he put that, like, literally put all of that in the script. So, yeah.
Awesome.
He's written the script.
I didn't tell him I couldn't do the setup that he wanted. Like, he wanted all the pieces, like, sort of laid out, and so that everyone else could see I was doing a puzzle. But I'm tethered to my modem, so I really can't do that where I'm at. So.
Oh, maybe we could do a cutaway. We could do a cutaway another time.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Oh. Yes, he wrote a script for me. I asked him to write a script recently, and I suddenly found he incorporated. I mean, the character isn't me at all. I mean, at all. But so it's somebody I had to play. But he incorporated all my stuff because I'm always going on about the chip scones from the chocolate cherry scones from Superba in Venice, which I go on this wonderful walk in the evening, and it's very lush, lots of gardens and all that sort of thing. And then at the end, there's Superba, and I get my chocolate cherry scone, and I mentioned that to him, and that figures big in the script.
That's funny.
The chocolate cherry scone. So that's wonderful, I think, about that happens in the script so much, and it's fun. Now, Stephen says that he's almost at home. So if we chunter away for a bit, I can always edit some of this out. And when he arrives, we can just finish off with a margarita blender for...
I was thinking I should make a margarita, but then I was like, I don't know how. I always just buy them.
Oh, well, we probably
mix.
wouldn't even,
What's there to know? It's tequila and mix.
we probably wouldn't even know because it's only on the screen.
Absolutely. Nobody would have a clue.
Drunk. You might have got drunk, and that might have been interesting.
God only knows what I would have said. I don't even know.
Thank you so much for this play. I think it's absolutely wonderful, and
You're welcome.
you did such a great job. Thank you.
You guys were great. This was fantastic.
A lot of fun. I love doing some comedy, and you guys were fun to do it with.
I love an ensemble comedy too, like something where we're all together like this. This is the best.
You worked very well together, and you're so completely different as characters, and it all just worked together.
That's what I meant to say that I forgot to mention. That is my favorite part about this play in particular, is that the characters are each so distinct, and Stephen did a really good job with that, with the creation of them.
Great, good, and well, that's a wrap then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Hello, Stephen. So we finally got you back. How's Daisy?
Yep. She's doing well. They've got her kind of doped up so that she won't scratch herself anymore. And
what's the problem?
Yeah, she's she's got a plastic cone, which they actually call an Elizabethan collar. So it stays around her so that she can't reach her stitches and lick them. But the problem is it's irritating her skin, so she wants to scratch at it. And when I took the cone off for a few minutes, she actually started scratching and started bleeding. And so we ended up going to the emergency room.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so that's why I got delayed.
Yes. Well, you've seen the recording, so you know how
Yes.
happy everybody was with the play and being the play and playing with the play.
And I'm really sorry I missed it because I got a lot of compliments during that Q&A. So
Yes,
I wish I responded.
I can throw them at you now. So I think the the big thing that comes out of that, particularly, I mean, it's such a play for now, but also it is the fact that you do write in things about the characters of the actors who are playing it. I guess you have an opportunity to do that now. We're doing it with Zoom than you did when we used to do the play reading group, and we'd rehearse and perform, but it was such a short period of time. But it was marvelous the way you did that. And then with so you enjoy doing that.
Yeah. If you remember the original script, Edward's character, Carl, like what he was eating was cinnamon Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
But then when you told me about his deal with Cinnabon, I said, yeah, I can change that. And, with any luck, we're riding his coattail with his Cinnabon branding. And then after talking to Danny, and he started talking about, that he had been working on a puzzle during this quarantine, I said, well, that would be a great thing for one of these characters to be involved in, being stuck at home the whole time and how to occupy his time. And it just sounded right. So I then again went back in and rewrote it. But it was just minor things that just had to be changed. But I like the ideal of being open, having that connection from the actor to the character that they're playing. I think it kind of helps it come out more natural for them if it's something that they know they can relate to. It's something from their own life. And when I was writing Glinda, Sarah's part, I just kept thinking of Sarah because I saw her play other parts that were kind of similar, and I just knew that she would be able to carry that part well.
Right. Well,
so there wasn't really anything specifically written for her personally, but I just knew that she could get into that character.
Right. Well, the thing with Edward, actually, you hadn't written it for him particularly, and but when I read it, I suddenly thought, oh my God, and Edward would be great for this. And then I thought, oh yeah, and
right,
it could be cinema, but it makes it
sure.
It brings a realness, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Characters to be talking about something that they're doing and they're passionate about. I mean, it's kind of fairly obvious, but I don't know.
And it's the same thing with you bringing up the ideal about the scone in the script I wrote for you. It's just because you described going out on your birthday to your favorite bakery, and the last scone they had was your favorite scone, and they end up giving it to you for your birthday. And it was just like, I would think that you would have that kind of emotional internal connection to that, what would seem to somebody else is maybe just kind of irrelevant, but for you, it would have a bigger meaning for you. And I do like the ideal of incorporating those kind of things in the people's parts. And a lot of times when, even in Culver City Group, when we would do some of the rehearsing that I directed on my own scripts for some of them, I would ask the people, you know, once we've done a read through, is there anything you don't feel comfortable with? Or is there anything that we could tweak or change that would make you feel more comfortable?
Yeah.
There are certain words that I use that other people don't want to use, or it doesn't resonate with them. And so if someone has something and they want to change some of the dialogue, I'm fine with that as long as the intent stays.
Yeah.
Because I remember the first script we worked on, the first video,
The booth.
No, the first video with Teresa and Michael and what could have been.
Oh, what could have been? Well, we made an actual video, not a Zoom video.
And so it was our actual first film that we made based on one of my scripts. But I remember a lot of times I couldn't attend the rehearsals, and I would hear about a couple of the actors wanting to change some of the scripts, some of the dialogue, and some of it got changed by them. But there were a couple of things that, and I was fine. I was saying, yeah, that works. Okay, that's fine. But the one, and it was kind of, I think it might even seem silly to some people. There was one thing that one of the actresses wanted to say. Instead of saying yes, she wanted to say yeah. And that didn't work for her character because I wanted the two young people to be these college educated people, contrast to the two police officers who are kind of this rough, gruff language. So, you know, I accepted a lot of the changes, but it was just that word. I just said, no, she can't say yeah. She has to say yes. Yeah. And that was something like, you know, because that has more to do with the intent. Yeah. And so when it's something like that, I have to say, well, no, I don't want you to use that word. But otherwise, I'm pretty free on things changing. That machine gun you're hearing is Daisy trying to scratch through her comb.
Daisy. Well. Yes,
yeah, okay. She's done.
I worked with you on a lot of plays in the play reading group and with the film and here on Zoom. And I have noticed that there are things we're very specific about in terms of the language. And when I think I tried to argue out of some of those, and then realized that it just the way you've written it is absolutely in line with the character. And especially with some characters that you don't like. They're very precise in what they say, so they will say, "I will not do this," or "This is," so instead of "won't," and it makes absolute sense in terms of the energy,
right?
Of the characters as well as kind of the obvious reasons, and I had to come around to respecting that.
So it had to do with the conjunctions of not feeling comfortable not using conjunctions. But in that case, I again thought of the character as he was a foreigner who grew up in another country and has learned English and is also college educated. And I thought, and I might be wrong about this, but I remember asking the actor about it and him saying that, you know, the language they learned didn't have the conjunctions. So I like the idea a lot of times having a character that uses the conjunctions and uses slangs and then maybe kind of contrasting them with another character just to show the difference between those two people. It kind of gives a texture to the voice and it separates them, makes them, they have a unique voice then.
Yeah, absolutely. So in these discussions, I don't think we've covered an area that we personally have talked about quite a lot. Is how do you go about writing a play? Because it seems that it can happen pretty fast.
Well, again, most of the stuff that I write are 10-minute pieces.
Right.
So even though I've written like over 70 scripts, I have, you know, I kind of have to qualify that by saying, well, yeah, but they're 10-minute pieces. Generally, it just takes the spark of an ideal, maybe a suggestion, maybe I hear something from someone else that suggests a story to me. A couple of the things that I've written have come from me listening to This American Life on NPR or The Moth on NPR. Like one of the stories I've written that we've done, The Booth, was from an NPR show about a tsunami that takes place in Japan. That's where the original story came from. It dealt with a farmer who had lost his wife during the tsunami. And wanted a place for him where he could kind of try to reconnect with his dead wife. So he was a phone booth in his garden. And people found out about it, and they started coming to his garden to talk to their relatives that they had lost in the tsunami. And I just thought it would be, you know, how far could that go?
Yeah.
You know, if you could walk to a booth and talk to someone who has passed away as a means to reconnect to them, what if you really wanted it very much, so much that you actually got to hear their voice? And that's kind of where the ideal came from, but it started from that story.
Right. And when you're writing, but I think you told me that you hear the characters. I mean, they're basically stating their lines to you. Is that you hear the characters talking?
Yeah, it's almost like once I can get them talking, then all I'm doing is just writing down what's being said. It's a lot of times that's all it takes is to get the characters talking to one another, and it's sort of like I'm basically having one character respond to what another character is saying, and based on what their character is and what their character is doing, that's where the response comes from. And generally, if I can get a dialogue going, then it all just seems to fall in place. Sometimes it just seems to come out spontaneously.
Well, that's wonderful. I mean, isn't that the best form of creativity when it just happens? You spark it, you set it off, and I mean, do you have to say slow down because I can't keep up with where you are? Do you have to tell?
Well, then I I have to go back and check the spelling, because sometimes I'll just go over miss a word or something in there, or get the wrong word in there, because I'm thinking faster than I can actually type it.
Right.
Yeah. And as you know, there's been a lot of grammar errors in my work because.
Yes.
And someone asked me one time. They said, "This doesn't look like you proofread it at all." And I said to them, "Well, yeah, I proofread everything I write, but the problem is I wrote it, so I'm seeing it again the way I think it's supposed to be, and I think it's correct. So proofreading."
Yeah, that's a very interesting take on it all. Yeah, I mean, I actually like the typos and the spelling mistakes in your work, because it just feels as if it's alive, and it has flexibility and that kind of chaos of creativity in it. So I think it helps. Not be so rigid in some way.
you know, in one of the in the zoom out piece, Sarah that plays Glinda, she has a line where she says, "We don't sell clerks, we sell car rentals." And so the word "sell" is supposed to be S-E-L-L, and I spelt it S-A-L-E. And she emails me back, is this the correct spelling, or is this just supposed to show how ditzy she is and she gets the word? And I wrote back to her, nope, it's just a misspelling, sorry. And I had to go in and correct it.
Go with whatever comes, Sarah, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's terrific. Thank you so much for all of these plays. That Wayne was. Which one are we talking about now?
Zoom out.
Oh, Zoom Out.
Zoom out.
So
they're all blending together.
yes, the first one that's really Zoom play. I mean, they're really kind of now and bang on the moment, as it were. Did you enjoy doing it that way?
Yeah, and that just started because we were doing Zoom Out, and I was going, you know, and then I adapted the Comeback Wayne so that it could be performed as a Zoom Out play. And I said, why don't I try and write something specifically for Zoom since we're using it? And just this idea of, you know, this corporate team having had these meetings online all the time, and now they're being told they have to go back to work. And I was just, I just imagine each one of those characters, and I just, I really like the way you directed them and brought out their different characters.
Thank you.
And I a lot of people say it's the script, but for me, a lot of times it's the actors being able to breathe life into those characters and bring the characters out.
Yes, I mean, the actors are absolutely essential to bring their stuff with them. And then if you're actually giving their stuff to bring as their stuff, it's just more and more all the time. It's just getting better all the time. Yeah. So then there's the idea of then writing a Zoom play with the vagaries of Zoom in it, and with yeah, we're talking about the plays now. I don't know where I am, but oh yeah. So we were just talking about somebody disappearing into the background. It looked like a ghost, didn't it? So maybe you do a ghost,
Right.
and oh, mind you, you've done that with Blanket City. But maybe people coming in and out and disappearing and appearing might be rather fun to play with.
Sure.
An advantage.
Yeah. Yeah, we would just have to find out what the background is and how it relates to the story and how to use it in the story. One of the things that I wanted to maybe try is maybe have like 4 characters who all have one object that's exactly a duplicate of everybody else's object. And that maybe something, I'm not sure what it is yet, but something in the story is each one of those characters has to put something into like a box. So that all of the actors already have the box, and the object they take out is the object that the last person put in, and maybe they put in an object. So everybody would have to have the same box with the same objects already in it. And so as they're like passing it to one another, they're opening the box and they're taking out what the last person put in.
Right.
But if we think about it as a platform, we know they can't really hand that box to somebody, and whatever they put in that box, the next person can't really take it out but if we could come up with enough objects that can be duplicated and have a box that looks exactly alike, so everybody has the same box with the same objects in it, but they're each taking out an object that the last person put in.
Yeah. Well, and it's very effective because on the 1963 play we had props that were doing that, and in that
Right.
that play date we did with the ISO company, my partner and I were passing things to each other, and we were thinking, what can we pass that's easy? And I said, all right, $1 note. I mean, that looks the same. So there are some things which are easy, and then other things like when I did the '63 play, they had a book which they had to pass between them, and so they went looking on their bookshelves and say, well, I've got a red book. Well, I've got a red book. It's a different size. And what about a black book? I've got a black book. I've got a black book. Oh, it's the same size.
Yeah, and that worked out for us with that play date thing we did with the, I guess that was isolated group too, with passing the candle to the person.
Yeah.
And taking the candle.
That was the same one, but yeah, that was very fun the way you did it, because I was thinking, so I had the $1 note, and we used something else as well, and it's just kind of, well, here it is, and you put it down, and then the other person just picks it up. But you actually went for the whole thing. You put
yeah, that's right.
You put it right up on the screen, and she took, and in between you clicked your fingers, and the candle was lit, and then and it was fantastic. Even though you know what's going on, it's just a lovely effect, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a lot what Shon had said on one of the previous works that you worked with, is that this whole time has given creative people an opportunity to be creative and to try and make as much of it as possible. And like she's saying, you know, some people are saying they're bored, but she's not heard any artists say they're bored. And it's just like, we find ways to stay creative. And I think that's kind of a testament of this time, that with all this stuff going on, we can still manage to find way of doing what we want to do.
Well, and Zoom, in our terms, Zoom is so kind of limited that there's endless possibilities for pushing the envelope.
Sure.
And then, you know, some of the more professional companies out there, I mean, are having these wonderful musical numbers with hundreds of people on the screen, and all sorts of things happening, and which again is they're collecting things, but you know they've got amazing editing software and amazing editors and putting it all together. I mean, I'd love to do that, but as long as I'm not editing it myself. But I think that's a little way down the line, probably.
You did some good editing on the play behind you. I really liked the way that turned out, with you kind of focusing on one box and then just kind of expanding out for the opening scene.
Right. On the choice, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. And on the booth, actually, in the end. I zoomed out to reveal the
oh yeah, the phone booth. Yeah, because it's hidden until she mentions it. Yeah, that was also very good.
The one that I've just done. I'm just thinking of other, kind of zoomy sort of things to do, and actually possibly just changing the size of the box so that it's. I'm just play around with it, make it less, just kind of zoom, you know.
Yeah, we need to do one with Edward and his is it girlfriend or wife?
Yes, girlfriend. Yeah,
girlfriend. Because they're in the same house.
Right.
If we could have them in different rooms, each on their own device. At some point, one of them enters the other person's, maybe coming through a door or something like that.
Yeah, that's good. You better write that.
Yeah, I think I can see them, like one of them coming in with the mask on and gloves, and the other person getting hysterical because they've entered their space.
And so it comes as a twist.
Have you worked?
They're in the same place.
Have you worked with his girlfriend?
I was acting in fantastic Mr. Fox, and she was playing one of the parts. They were both together in that scene. I mean, they didn't need to be. He was playing Mr. Badger, and she was playing, I don't remember.
Because I could see him getting into and playing the part of the hysterical person. So I was just wondering what kind of character she would be. If she would be the kind of level-headed.
Yes, that seemed certainly possible from what I saw. But we could talk to them about it.
Sure.
But actually, that happened to me recently. Was so I remember it's not a poor old Daisy. It's not a drama group, but we were doing a kind of conversation sort of thing where there were about 8 people, and everybody had 4 minutes. What's going on now? Oh, somebody just came into your room.
Without a mask on.
And so one of the people, we were doing 4 minutes, and then other people were doing their 4 minutes about just really rattling about how they were feeling, what was on their mind, and then at some point, one of the people in there just got up and left. I was saying, where's she gone? And then she suddenly appeared in one of the other people's screen because she's living in and they were just a couple of doors down. So she suddenly arrives, and I thought, oh my God, that looks so good. That's so cool. We should do that. Sure. There you are. I picked it up out of the ether because I don't think I told you about that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely workable. Just have to think of the story.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, good talking with you. And we've been rattling on for hours. How much we'll use, I have no idea, but we'll find out.